All right, ready?
I'm Meredith.
I'm Elise. And this is your 20s.
So we are here today with I'm so excited about our guest today. It's Arielle D'Angelo. She is an LGBTQ plus self-love and sexuality life coach, right?
Yes.
And Arielle and I met in Cape Town, and I was a junior. You were graduated at that point, right?
Yeah, I was graduated.
Yeah. So Arielle's 25, I'm 22, but we just clicked in Cape Town. We had some very, very interesting experiences up in Cape Town.
As they do.
Lots of fun stories. But I was thinking who would be a good guest to have on our show, who's because we've interviewed a lot of people that are in their early 20s, you're 25 now, so right in the thick of it. And started your own business, your life coaching business, which we're going to hear all about today.
Queen.
And we'll plug all of her socials later today, but if you check out her website, she is pretty much, and Elise just said this, the reason we started this podcast. We want to talk to people like Arielle, who literally have just followed their passions, made it their life's work. And we're going to hear all about it. And I'm so excited. I'm literally can you tell?
She's amped.
She's amped
up. And I'm amped up too, because I love meeting people who are doing what they want to do with their life and are helping people too. I'm so excited for this interview. So first of all, thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much. We're so excited.
Thank you for having me. This is so exciting. When I saw that I didn't know you yet, Elise, but when I saw that you guys were doing this podcast, I was like, that is so epic and important. We need more people in their 20s telling stories and sharing information like this, because it's just been having these conversations. So I'm really pumped to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And I just want to point out, I'm wearing my Women Are Powerful and Dangerous t-shirt.
Yes.
Samson, this is his shirt. Well, do we still have the discount code?
Probably.
We have a discount code if anyone wants this shirt. And it's just very fitting for the powerful women we have on this podcast today.
Divine feminine energy.
Yes.
Also, I turned 22 yesterday, y'all.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
I'm 2 years into my 20s.
Yes.
We're thriving.
And then after this, we're having a little mini celebration for
tonight. Yeah.
Her.
Mini.
Yay. Amazing.
I do as mini.
Mm-hmm. She's very extra. You will find out.
Big Leo.
I'm excited to see it from afar.
Yeah.
So where are you located right now?
Well, I am typically based in New York City, but just with all the quarantine stuff going on, I've been traveling back home to Boston pretty frequently just to get some outdoor space and not be in a small New York apartment. So yeah, I'm technically based in New York City, but I'm moving out of New York anyway this month.
Okay.
So
and you're going to be home in Boston for
maybe for a few weeks, but I really just kind of want to use this time to Airbnb and maybe go to the West Coast for a little bit, just because I don't need to be based anywhere. I just need to have Wi-Fi. So
I just that's so you. I feel like every time when we met in Cape Town, you're like, I'm not sure where I'm gonna go next. Should I just stay in Cape Town? Should I move to LA? I'm not sure. I feel like you're very free spirited. And I just think that's so cool that you don't necessarily have to have a base. You just, as long as you're doing what you love to do. And like you said, you have Wi-Fi, then you're good.
That's incredible.
Exactly. I do think that there's something nice about grounding into a place. So I don't know, if I do the Airbnb route, then I probably will want to be somewhere for at least a month or so, just because, moving around can be a lot, but I'm definitely a nomad at heart.
Yes.
I love to travel. I love to be on the road.
Yes. That's awesome. So I'm just going to give a brief background, and then I'll let you obviously describe your background too. But Arielle and I met in Cape Town, South Africa when I was a junior in college. I was doing a semester internship abroad. Elise had actually done the same program a semester before me, and then Arielle and I met through VA Corps, which is the program that we did. We don't need to get into that. But it was an interesting program, we'll say. But we just met, and I feel like Arielle and I had so many conversations about, at that point in my life, I was kind of like, I don't know what the fuck I want to do. But I feel like you were very inspirational for me, because at that point in your life, you had graduated and you were like, I need to figure out, sorry, am I good? Okay. I need to figure out career wise, like you were very kind of stuck in that, what do I do next type of vibe. But you had talked to me so much about how you wanted to just help people and, you know, doing the life coaching and things like that. So I just kind of want to know, like, where you're at right now with that, and how that changed since we last saw each other in Cape Town. Like, what has been kind of the timeline of your life coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I can give like a little bit of a snippet of my journey, just with figuring that all out. So in college, I definitely like hit a point where I realized that I was really stuck. I mean, there was so much from my past that I just had never processed, and I was just suppressing everything that I had gone through because I was so scared to really feel it and confront it. And I was just kind of the person that you would look at and be like, she's so happy all the time, like everything's great in her life. And meanwhile, like inside, there was so much turmoil and so much chaos. And I kind of realized that all started coming to the surface, especially when I was figuring out my sexuality. I was like in a really secret, toxic, abusive relationship. No one knew. I was like thinking that I was maybe gay, but I wasn't really sure. I mean, there was just so much confusion. And I ended up going to this retreat where I really healed a lot of that trauma. And I just left that retreat feeling like an entirely new human. And when I first, that was kind of my first experience in the personal development and healing world. And after doing that, I was like, okay, I want to find a way to incorporate this into my life, but I didn't really know how. So I graduated college. I ended up getting certified as a health coach, and then I got Reiki certified. And I was in the process of working at different mental health organizations, outpatient centers, thinking that I was going to go the route of applying to school for social work, grad school for social work. And it was interesting because when I was expressing that to other people, there was so much external validation around that. Like, oh, you're going off and you're going to do something so amazing. Like, because it was like following that traditional path. And if you know me, I am like the most unconventional, untraditional, like I don't like following rules. I'm all about the taboo. Like, that's just not me. So yeah.
We're very similar in that sense.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually so amazing. But in our society, we're all conditioned to think we need to go get a corporate job and fit in and like, you know, sit at a desk all day long and feel fulfilled doing that. For some people, that's great. That's awesome. They're meant to do something like that. For me, I was just like, nope. So anyway, I was like, I'm going to go to Cape Town. And while I'm in Cape Town, I'm going to apply to grad school. And I got to Cape Town and I was just so fucking resistant. Like there was such a block. Every time that I would pull up an application, I just couldn't go through with it. And it was in Cape Town that like my head just cleared. I just stopped getting so confused about what path I was going to take in order to help people heal. And I signed up for this NLP, hypnotherapy, life coaching certification. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to try it. And I got home and I went through with that. And I was like, yes, this feels so aligned. I'm ready to start my business. So can
I interrupt you really fast?
Yeah.
Was this your first trip to Cape Town or your second trip?
My second trip.
Okay.
Sorry. So for anyone that's listening to this, I studied abroad in Cape Town when I was in college. And then when I met Mare, I was there after college in the process of applying to grad schools. And then I was like, nope, not applying to grad schools anymore. Actually doing this alternative certification instead. So that was last summer of 2019 that I was like, all right, let's do this. I'm ready to launch my business. And things have just kind of kept going from there.
That's so awesome. So when you Also, I have just another side question. What is Reiki? Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, so Reiki is basically a form of energy healing,
okay,
to put it lightly for anyone who's listening. And I incorporate that into all the work I do. So even though I do online coaching, I still bring energy work into everything that I do. Also with the hypnotherapy aspect, I like lead a lot of my clients through meditations and visualizations. So I've really just taken all of the certifications that I've ever done and created my own methods and techniques and formulas from that.
And you specialize in self-love and sexuality.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yes, I mean, the LGBTQ community is my niche and my passion. My mission is to help people in the LGBTQ community live an empowered and liberated life that's aligned with their truth. And just because that was such a struggle of my own, and I felt so imprisoned in like my own being, and I just really want to make the coming out process so much easier for humans all around the world, because everybody deserves to love whoever the fuck they want to love, be whoever the fuck they want to be, and, you know, live their life. Yeah.
No, absolutely. So you talk about the turmoil that you were feeling, you know, feeling imprisoned, and then you went to the retreat. Is the retreat kind of like the shifting point, and when you realized, okay, this is what I want to make my full-time career, if you want to call it, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So honestly, I mean, that retreat, it's called the Hoffman process. It's a 7-day retreat, and that changed my entire life. I don't know where I would be today if I hadn't gone through that program. Like, I don't even know if I'd be here. Like, I was in such a dark place, and I left that retreat just finally realizing how much I loved myself, and just that I was like ready to live a life that was rooted in self-love and connection to myself. And it shifted absolutely everything for me. So after that, I knew I wanted to make this a part of my life, but I think there was still a little voice inside of me, because I was in college at the time.
Yeah.
And I saw all of my friends kind of going through the traditional interview process. And so a part of me was like, okay, like I would love to do this work, but maybe I try like fitting into the corporate world for a little bit. And then this is always a good backup plan. But really, that's what my passion was. It was to help people heal. And I realized that each time I went back to Hoffman for, you know, follow-up refreshers, I just got even more connected with my truth, and that my purpose in this life right now is to help LGBTQ people heal and love themselves.
That is incredible. So if you don't mind, I mean, you're a very open book. Arielle and I have just, I feel like, laid it all out in very open ways. But so what was some of the inner turmoil that you were experiencing that caused you to want to go to this retreat? I mean, can you describe, and sometimes it's impossible to put words to, because I've been there as well. But just so anyone out there listening, if they're feeling similar at all, what were some of the things you were feeling trapped by?
Ooh, gosh, the list goes on and on. I think that the main thing was that I was so depressed, and I was so anxious, and I realized that like all of my inner demons were just coming out. Like the beliefs I had about myself, that inner narrative that played in my head was so toxic and mean. Like I was so mean to myself. And I just fully felt like I didn't deserve to be alive, that like I didn't deserve to be here, that my friends and family would abandon me if they ever found out that I wasn't straight, that I was better off living the rest of my life in the closet. And I just felt like so trapped. And I was like, why me? Why me? Every night I'd pray to God and I'd be like, please, please, like, don't pick me to be gay. Like, pick anyone else. And I think it was also so confusing, because I would look in the mirror and I'd see myself and I was like, I'm like so feminine. I love makeup. I love dressing up. Like, and I'd never seen that. I had never identified with any of the LGBTQ role models that I saw in mainstream media. I just felt like I didn't relate to who they were or what they were like. And there really is no such thing as like a stereotypical lesbian.
Right.
But mainstream media does. does perpetuate that idea. And I was like, okay, so I mean, I can't be gay. And that made things so confusing for me. Right. Just because there was no representation in we live in such a heteronormative society. So it caused me a lot of confusion. But yeah, I think a lot of my demons and my darkness, it stemmed from, childhood stuff, and then the abusive relationship I was in, and then also trying to figure out my sexuality amidst all of this, while also being in college and having to deal with the things that every other college kid deals with. So it just felt like my world was like closing in on me, and I had nowhere to run to.
Gotcha. Wow. Yeah. Well, I think it's pretty admirable that you would even say like, I need help. Like, like I can't figure this out by myself, because I feel like that's where a lot of people get stuck with their mental health. I mean, I've been in positions where I'm just like, it envelops every sense of your life. And there are points in time where it almost feels more comfortable to just live in it. It's almost like a safe space. If that's kind of backwards, because it's not safe, but the thought of breaking out of that negative, toxic habit, thought process, whatever it may be, seems more scary sometimes than feeling happy. Like the concept of, I can just be happy, I can figure out how to live a life where I can be happy, seems so foreign to so many people that they're like, well, I'm just not even going to try. I'm just going to kind of, go with what I was fed and try to figure out. And I think that's where, especially in your 20s, your early 20s.
In college. I was going to say, college is such a difficult time for so many people, because you're just not, like, you haven't figured it out yet. Like, you just haven't, there's so many missing pieces to the puzzle. And especially with like mental health and your happiness, like, you're just like, some people just go down a path that is just so far from that. And it's so hard to break from that, to get back on the path. Because think about, like, when you were a kid, we talk a lot about like your 20s versus being in your, I don't know, 8 years old and being just like so confident and happy and with who you are. And now I don't know like what happens, but then it just like, it's like things happen every day and build up to where you get to a place where you're just so far from happiness. And
you don't even know where to start.
And I think like anyone who's listening to this who, can relate to where, I mean, I know I've been there, Mary's been there, Arielle, you said you've been there as well. If you can relate to being there, just know that it will get better. Like there is so much happiness out there for you. And like you went to that summit, was it a summit or was it just a conference?
Retreat.
But like something will happen in your life that will be the first spark, and obviously that was the first step towards a road towards happiness for you, but you will meet someone who will spark happiness in you, and you will find happiness.
But it's your decision of whether or not you're going to run with it. If you're just going to say, and you had said like, oh, maybe this will just be a backup plan, I'll try it. But I think, the radical notion of making that your plan A is like crazy to some people and crazy to our society, that like, hey, there is a different way that you can go about this, but not enough people I think have, made it normal. So people are like, no, that seems too difficult. So
I was about to say, Arielle, you ran with it.
Yeah, you did.
Ran with it. And I want to talk about it.
I mean, it has been a journey. Entrepreneurship is definitely a journey. And there's so much I want to say in response to what you just said. First of all, starting with the programs that run in our subconscious mind that have been there throughout our entire life. The reason why that feels comfortable is because those systems have been running for so long, and they're fed to us through society, through religion, through education, through our parents. And so to imagine operating on a new, improved system feels really scary and uncomfortable. And, for me, it was just about realizing, fuck, like this old operating system is not working anymore, and I need to upgrade it, and I need to just fucking surrender and release all this shit. And a huge part of that also is feeling it, sitting in the emotions, feeling the emotions, releasing them. And there's so much shame around feeling what you need to feel. And there's so much shame around talking about mental health. And that's something that I really, really want to change, to normalize that, because we all struggle with it, let's be real. So that was the first thing I wanted to say there. What was the second thing? Like, everything you guys are bringing up is so awesome. The journey. So I had that as a backup plan. And then it just became like, this is my plan A. There is no plan B. Like, friends would be like, what are you doing? So like, what if your business doesn't work? Like, you're just kind of all of a sudden like putting a lot of eggs in this like one basket. And I was like, no, it's going to work. It's going to work. And I just held that belief and I ran with it. And a huge part of that was trying to just embody the identity of an entrepreneur and a leader and a teacher in every way. And that was also uncomfortable for me, to show up as this person that like I hadn't shown up as in the past. And I realized that the only way I was going to make it work is if I fully believed in myself.
Yes.
Didn't really matter what the haters wanted to say, but I had to believe in me. And that's what got me here. So
yeah. Well, and I feel like I struggle with that too. Like, Elise and I have had a lot of conversations about, and Elise is she's further ahead of me in that journey than I am. I'll fully admit it. But we obviously would love to make this full time. Like, this is what we do for the rest of our lives. Mm-hmm. But I feel like there's just, we can get into like limiting beliefs, because I know that's a big part of what you talk about. But there's just this block that I have where it's kind of like, I just, but what if, and what if this doesn't work, and I need to have something to fall back on. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Quick pause. All right, we're good.
And, it's just this sense of I can't fully allow myself to just dive in, because it's not only a fear of failing, but for me, it's more of a fear of, oh, what if this works out? What does my life look like?
Absolutely.
And I feel like in most of my life, I'm kind of your standard, did it by the book. Most parents would be like, hey, I'm proud of my kid over there. She did what she needed to do. And obviously I'm proud of the accomplishments that I've had, but they don't fill that void that you're looking to fill. And I have noticed that I'm just not that afraid of failing. I have a decent amount of confidence that most of the things that I would take on, I would do well enough. Mm-hmm. But I have the opposite. I have this fear of being, like I said, the fear of success and all of the change and discomfort that could possibly bring into your life, I think is a lot scarier maybe than just failing. Because if you fail, okay, you fail and you get back up and you brush yourself off, it's fine. But what does my life look like after that? That scares me more than anything.
Yeah. So that's like an amazing point there, because I think that for me too, my fears were mainly the fear of success, because there was so much intertwined with being successful that scared me. And that was holding me back and keeping me at that level that I was used to living at. So it was like preventing me from breaking through to reach that next level. And something that I've learned on this journey is that there's no such thing as failure. Like, we in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, we say that there's only feedback. There's no failure, only feedback. So it's like either you win and you succeed and you feel really awesome about something, or you're just like, oh, okay, now I know what to do better next time. Right. So everything is like such a massive learning experience. And I mean, we could talk about limiting beliefs all day, but even you acknowledging that and being aware of that is so huge.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I just think a lot about how people have those throughout their entire lives. Like, I see people, and it's not necessarily with their career, but just limiting beliefs towards anything. And I'm like, if you literally think and say out loud what you want your life to look like, it will be there.
There's power in that.
It will be there. Eventually. It'll take time. But if you believe it with your entire heart, like you said, you believed in yourself, and now here you are. Like, it's just, there's so much power in believing in yourself and knowing that you can do it, and that there's not, like, I've decided for myself too, like, I'm not going to stop until I see what my life until I get my life where I want it to be. You know, I decided a year ago on my birthday, actually at 21, I was like, I'm not going to stop until I get what I want. And that's just what it is now. And I've accepted that. And there's so much I don't know. And I know that, but there's so much I've learned in 1 year. You know what I mean? I'm like, look at the growth. Yeah. Look at us in 1 year. Yeah. Look at you. You've only had this for a year, you know, like it's just beautiful to see people like you living out and manifesting what they want and doing it and getting it. Like that's so empowering to me, especially as a woman. Like,
yes.
Oh, it makes me so happy to see that. You know?
Well, and as a member of the LGBTQ community, I mean, you see, I love life coach. I love life coaching, you know, Instagram platforms like that. I think it's great. I follow so many awesome accounts, body positivity, all of those things, but I don't think there is a ton of representation. What? Oh God.
Guys, I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
The ring light fuse just blew and is smoking.
Oh, okay.
We can pause.
Let's pause.
OMFG. I am so sorry.
No, you're fine.
I literally said I needed a new ring light right before we came on here, and look at that. I'm wondering, like, is it safe? So I unplugged the cube that the ring light, like, USB was in.
Yeah.
Which was in, like, an extension. Oh my God, it smells so bad. Do you think that, like, my is plugged into the, like, extension thing? Like, there's other things plugged in. Should I unplug everything, or do you think it's...
Maybe unplug everything just to be safe. Oh, no. Okay. Should we pause this?
Guys, I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
There was clearly some power in what you just said, so...
It just sparked.
Literally. OMG. Okay. I think it's fine. I really do think it, if anything, it's like the faulty ring light, but...
Is it still smoking?
No, it stopped smoking when I unplugged it, and everything else seems to be fine. Let me just...
This is amazing.
Everything else seems fine.
Okay, please don't hurt yourself.
It smells like a burnt electrical, like, you know that smell?
Yeah, like a burning fuse.
Yeah.
That was scary, guys. That was, I was trying not to
like,
I was like, okay, we can continue.
Okay. No, you're fine. Be safe.
Okay, I'll let you know if anything.
Anything blows up again.
Okay, we're resumed. So we were talking, let me like reset up that thought. So I was talking about how I follow lots of influencing. Why do I keep saying influencing? Influencers. Yeah, that's the word.
I'm also very curious, I won't interrupt you, but what your thought process is on the term influencer, but we can get
yeah. So, you know, those accounts with women who are using social media in a more positive, less showy way. I love that. I love the realness, but there isn't a ton from what I've actually experienced. And maybe it's also algorithmic and what I'm being fed. Not a ton of influencers in the LGBTQ plus community who are representing the type of, and I'm just going to say the type of lesbian that you are saying that you feel like you didn't see a lot as a young woman trying to figure out your sexuality and being that for so many people. So I'd love to hear kind of the challenges of that process, the beauty of kind of taking up that role and what that's looked like for you.
Yeah. So I guess like when I first came out over Instagram, that was kind of me like declaring like, okay, everyone, I'm gay, and now I'm going to be an LGBTQ plus life coach. And I like was not expecting to get the overwhelming response that I did. I mean, there was just so much love and so many people just messaging me saying how like I in some way inspired them to come out, or like it was just incredible to see that ripple effect. And I realized initially I had a lot of fear in coming out over Instagram for the first time, just because everyone I followed on Instagram was straight. I didn't know, I maybe knew one gay person on Instagram. And so I was really nervous about how that was going to be received. And I realized that the fear was just not enough to get in the way of my mission and my passion. And that if I were to put out this message and it were to even impact one person, that would be enough. Yeah. Just remembering the place that I was in. Yeah. So coming out almost became like, yes, it was very much for me. It was to help me feel more empowered in my identity and in my truth. But it more so became something to help the other people around me and to normalize it. Yeah. So when I was in an environment where I was like, I don't know if I want to come out right now. I don't know if I want to say I'm gay. I realized, okay, what shame is present that I need to look at, and think about how this could help someone in this room. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, let's just leap. And I just like made leaping like the theme of my year. And I feel like it's the theme of my life, because I really do think that when we are courageous and when we do leap, that's when we are rewarded. And that's when the universe shows us, what's possible and what's next.
I love that concept, because I think that even for us as we're doing this podcast and so many young creatives or entrepreneurs who want to do something, it's that you get so bogged down in the beginning of, I don't know if I know enough to be the guiding person in this, right? So, but just leaping in and realizing that as you guide and as you influence and as you speak on it, you're going to learn so much about yourself in the process and take up a leadership role, whether or not you feel like you're ready for it or not. Right. And then it's almost like I hate to say it, but kind of like a fake it till you make it. And then you realize like, oh shit, I'm good at this. Like, like that's been the biggest thing for me too, is just jumping in, and whatever happens, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a great positive learning experience. Mm-hmm. And I just think that's hugely important for anyone that's looking to leap into something that they're just not 100% sure how to navigate, for sure.
Definitely. So. Definitely. I also really want to talk about TikTok.
Let's
TikTok and how you, I guess, grew that platform for you and what that platform means to you. All of it. Tell me everything.
It's fun.
Yeah. We were stalking your TikTok before this and we were cracking up.
What? Okay. What was she like? When she lets you like inside your vagina.
Yeah.
Oh my God, thank you for inviting me.
Your house is so pretty.
Okay. First of all, if you're listening right now, go check out her TikTok. It's Arielle D'Angelo, right? That's it. Arielle D'Angelo. It's hilarious and wonderful and all of the above. So
did you have one that like blew up, right? Kind of.
Yeah. I think so one of them is almost at 2 million, which is crazy.
That's the universe, man.
That's amazing.
I was shocked. A few of them have really like blown up, which is awesome. And so, I would have never expected this. So basically with TikTok, I kept hearing about TikTok. My younger cousin was on TikTok and I was like, I don't understand this app. Like, I don't know how you work it, whatever. So one day people kept telling me like, there's a really amazing gay community or LGBTQ plus community on TikTok. Yeah. And I kept hearing it and I was like, okay, interesting. So interesting part about this whole story is that on Instagram, I felt like I was holding back from showing my whole self, because for anyone that knows me, they know I'm goofy, I'm slightly inappropriate. Like I love to joke around. And I felt like on Instagram, there was this pressure to come across as this like really professional coach. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't really showing all the different parts of myself on Instagram. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to just create a TikTok to make LGBTQ plus memes and like jokes, because I felt like as someone who was growing up, I followed this like lesbian account and secretly, or I didn't even follow it because I was scared that anyone was going to see that I followed it. Mm-hmm. And she would often give like lesbian memes and lesbian jokes. And I was like, wow, this is so inspiring. And this is making me feel like who I am is normal and okay. So I knew that there was a lot of healing that could take place just through like telling jokes and telling stories and being inappropriate, because that exists for straight people. So why should that not exist for people in the LGBTQ community? So, so I was just like, all right, I'm going to like just try to have fun on this app. Yeah. And I started having fun on it. And then all of a sudden, like 2 weeks into like really using the app, like a few of my videos just started like getting a lot of views and kind of not blowing up, but I was like, wow, like I have the ability to reach people here. Mm-hmm. So I just kept doing more of that. And it was interesting because then all of a sudden, all of my clients started coming over from TikTok. So I was pulling people into my coaching programs, and they originally found me on TikTok. So I was like, wow, there's something here. I can be my authentic self. I can be inappropriate. I can be funny. I can also be a leader and a healer and a coach. But I can still bring in those people who I'm meant to work with or meant to be friends with or meant to collaborate with. And it's just been, oh my God, I'm so grateful for TikTok. It's helped me grow my business in so many ways. Yeah. I've made such lifelong friends through TikTok. And this past week, you know, there was a scare that TikTok was going to be banned in the US. And I just had so many people in the LGBTQ community DMing me, messaging me, saying like, this has been the only platform that's made me feel safe. Like I've been crying nonstop because I'm so inspired by the LGBTQ people that I see on this app. Like, so that was a whole thing that, wow. Yeah.
And I think especially because TikTok is so young. So it's so important for young people to see people like you, one, not only living out their passion and doing whatever the fuck they want to do with their life, and two, obviously lesbian representation and just like loving yourself and talking about things like, I mean, for kids it's kind of weird, but like just being comfortable with their sexuality when they come into it, you know? Yeah.
When using humor, like you said, I mean, I think people underestimate the power of a good joke to just bring people together. Yeah. And I also like the point that you said about how it let you be like your true authentic self. And I think so often, especially as you kind of, it's almost like you hit a point in your life where you're like, okay, now I have to be presentable, and now I have to kind of come across to the world as this mature, you know, all together, whatever it may be, that highlight person that you see on Instagram or social media.
Right.
And I think that's such an outdated concept that you have to be, you have to compartmentalize your life in some way like that. Like, I think the whole professional versus personal, yes, there's a time and place, sure. I'm not saying no boundaries whatsoever, but it's so refreshing when people realize that the person that's maybe higher up in the world or someone that they look up to is just like a normal fucking human being. Like, if I were to look at someone in a, for example, a corporate position, a CEO who does something like that, I'd be like, that is hilarious. That is relatable. That is being a person. And like, more people, I feel like, deserve access to that. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
And so I just think that, yeah, realizing that it's, although it can just be a fun dancing app, there's more to it. I think that's really cool, you know, and tapping into those networks for sure. But so I want to veer back a little bit and talk to you about some of like the techniques that you use with your coaching business. Obviously you don't need to dive into all of it because I don't want you to give away your products and services for free, but just getting an idea of if people are interested and if that's something that they want to do and just what you've learned through it too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of began my coaching journey with one-on-one coaching. And this spring, I launched my signature group coaching program called Unleashed. And in Unleashed, it's a 6-week group coaching program that's centered around sexuality. And we really help people in the LGBTQ community release any limiting beliefs that are holding them back from living authentically and feeling empowered. And they walk away from the program like fully embodied in their truth and their authentic self, free of these old beliefs and patterns that just have not been serving them. And they're finally able to step into that identity and love themselves. So that program has been absolutely amazing. This week on Wednesday night, we finished round 2 of Unleash's last call. And it was just such a magical wrap to the program. We have it launching again in September for anyone who's listening to this and interested. And I will be launching it throughout the next year. So it's just an insanely transformative program. And not only do the people leave feeling so connected to themselves, but they also feel so connected to the other humans in the group. Like we leave as family. So it's really special.
Community is so important for young people too.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, it is so important for them to have that community as well. Not only see people doing and representation and all that, but having people to talk to and connect with and who are going through the same similar struggles. You know?
Well, and being in your 20s too, I'm thinking it's such a transformative, transitional time. Like, I'm 22, just graduated, kind of like, okay, what now? You know, and I think a lot of people, LGBTQ plus or not, feel that way. So having kind of, you have to search for those communities. It's kind of something that you have to take on yourself, you know, and that can be daunting because you're just trying to figure out like, oh, I'm, you know, for some people I need a job, I need a place to live, things like that.
Money.
Yeah, money. It can't be a rat race though. You need a group of people to fall back on to keep yourself sane and grounded. And I mean, I just think that's so
think
important.
of like human nature. Like, we were literally born into a family to have people. People are meant to be around people and with people and learn from people. Like, we were born into a family. We obviously, like, you're like my sister. Like, you meet people along the way, and it's just so important to have and fall back on those people when you need it and help them when they need lifted up, you know?
Absolutely. And I mean, it's been so cool to see this program come to life, and what you're talking about, like just having that authentic communication and connection has been so key for these people. And also realizing how when they heal at a subconscious level, which is what we do inside of Unleashed, everything in their life starts falling into place. Like their finances, their job, their family life, their relationships. I mean, it changes everything for them. So that's also been really cool to see happen as just a result of doing this work.
And I think of healing for me as kind of dismantling old habits and old habits that you think are what you're supposed to be doing or are serving you. And then you slowly realize like, oh, fuck, this has been the thing that has limited me this whole time, which can sometimes be really discouraging because you're like, well, what if I had figured this out sooner? But I think just learning how to, you know, healing via dismantling, to me, is my definition right now in my life of self-love, which I have the question on here too, which brings me, I wonder if you can tell us what self-love means to you, because I think it's different for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So my journey with self-love, as you both know, just from a little bit of what I shared, I had no fucking clue what self-love meant. You know, when I was in college, people would be like, oh, you should love yourself. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that means. So when I went to Hoffman, that retreat that I went to, I realized that like self-love was just feeling connected to myself on such a deep soul level. And self-love means so many different things to me. But I think that one of the biggest things has just been like working in harmony with every aspect of myself and realizing that I can love myself and have compassion for myself through every part of my journey and process. And self-love is something that goes so beyond just like self-care and like, you know, getting a massage and doing a face mask and taking a bubble bath. And, you know, that's great. That's awesome. But for me, self-love is really like sitting with myself and going deep into healing my old, you know, childhood wounds and loving myself from the inside out and finding out how I can work in harmony with every aspect of me.
Wow. That's so powerful what you just said.
It's going beneath the surface.
Right. It's also just loving your journey, like loving that dark place that you were in, because that's a part of who you are now. Like
Mhm.
everything that's happened to you has presented the person that you are now. So loving that dark side that happened to you, that's also how I see it too. But that's very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Absolutely.
actually, Meredith and I are getting self-love tattoos next week.
I'll send you a picture. It's like a woman kind of hugging herself.
Oh
And
my
we're gonna get
gosh.
here.
I'm also just
Love
obsessed
that.
with just coming into my femininity. Like turning
Mhm.
22, I've really thought about just what being a woman means, and like loving the curves and the stretch marks and everything. I'm so passionate about, body positivity.
Yes.
But just coming into like what being a woman means. And so like even it's self-love, yes, but it's also just it shows like the curves of a woman too, at least in my design. And I'm so excited. It's just
I love that. Yeah, send me a picture.
yes, definitely.
Well, and I think self-love is different for everyone. So I think some people just automatically think it's loving for a lot of women at least, your body and being comfortable with how it looks.
Yeah.
And I think I'm slowly, like, it feels like, I'm not even kidding you, like this week alone, I've realized it is so much more than that. It is like loving the core of who you are. And like you said, being comfortable with the shitty parts of who you are and not being kind of complacent to those, and looking at those and saying, okay, what can I do to dismantle whatever causes me to think that way, but then also loving the part of you that's just a badass, and your strengths, but loving your weaknesses as well. I just think it's kind of a feeling that you can't really describe, but once you get there, you almost just know it. It feels like you're elevating to like a different level of
100%.
understanding. That's how
and like living at a different frequency. And something that I always tell my clients is that all of these patterns, all of these limiting beliefs, all of these narratives that have existed in our subconscious mind are not truly our own. They are society's limiting beliefs, or they've been passed down through generations to us, and they were never truly ours. They were never truly our parents.
Right.
They're not really anyone's, but just getting my clients and myself to a place where we can figure out who we are without all that other shit that's become piled on top of it, on top of our soul and our truth from the moment that we were born.
Yeah.
So just really getting back to that place of recognizing who our true essence is and loving that wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, I think about, my parents and the generations before me, how they're so kind of ingrained in the concept of doing things a certain way. And a lot of people, when you say, hey, I'm going to do it a different way, get so defensive. And they're like, well, what's wrong with you? That's never going to succeed. You're never going to follow your dreams. And I think I've slowly started to realize that does not reflect on me. That reflects on the same limiting beliefs that have been pushed on them for generations and generations, and the discomfort that maybe they feel that they didn't honor their truth and follow the dream that they had, because everyone has one. Everyone has something.
Also with that, we are so lucky to live in a place where we can market ourselves for free. We have Instagram. You have TikTok. You can literally run your own business because of Instagram and TikTok. That's where you get your clients,
Yeah.
Like we are so unbelievably lucky and we need to take advantage of this is the time in the universe, in the earth, for everyone to do what they want in the earth. On the earth, for everyone to do what they want to do with their life, because we have the tools. We can communicate with anyone in the entire world through our phone, through our fingertips. That's crazy.
Oh my gosh. It is so wild. And I am so grateful for social media in that sense, because it's been everything for me and so many people in the LGBTQ community. And there's also a balance with how much I'm on social media because of my job. But I do feel so grateful that we have access to this free marketing tool, which is, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, for sure.
So I have two more questions before we wrap up. So I think it's important to kind of tap back into the LGBTQ plus community. What would you tell fellow 20 somethings, 20 to 29, doesn't matter, who are struggling to honor themselves, accept themselves, find themselves, what would you tell them? It's kind of a loaded question. That's a lot, but
it's a great question. I'm just thinking of my younger self and what she needed to hear. And I wish that I could go back, and I do this work all the time, but I'm like, I would go back and I would just hug her and tell her that everything is going to be so more than okay. And that ultimately I was going to alchemize my darkness into my light and into my true gifts and into my purpose, and that I was going to use this period of suffering to help so many people. And so what I always, like to express to people in the LGBTQ community who are struggling and they say, I wish I was where you were at. I wish I was doing what you were doing. I say, like, this is why you're going through this now, and no one deserves to experience this. No one deserves to feel this, but one day your darkness and this struggle and these obstacles are going to become your superpowers. And to just stay in it, to know that you're never alone. You have so much love and help around you at all times. I mean, the LGBTQ community is massive and so amazing. And there are people waiting for you with open arms and open hearts. And to just be with yourself, have tons of love and compassion for yourself through this process, and know that it's all going to be more than okay.
I feel like I almost just shed a little tear. I'm not even kidding.
That was very well put.
And I just think the intersections too of being a woman and being a gay woman. I mean, being a woman is hard enough as it is. Adding that element, I don't know what that feels like, but I am so grateful to know people like you who do know and who are voicing that and giving people the opportunity to understand it.
Yeah, and love every part of them,
Yeah.
Love every part of themselves for it. Love themselves no matter what.
Yeah, the world would be such a different place if everybody knew how to love themselves. I mean, if we all loved ourselves, we would be able to love each other with, so much more abundance and just unconditional love and compassion. So that's my mission, is to slowly influence one person at a time into doing that.
I love that so much. I just feel so lifted and like,
yeah, you're my type of person. Like,
let's get station. It's just fantastic.
Love you guys.
Love you too. Okay. Oh, I just took a picture of us. So we're about to wrap up because I know you have to hop on a call soon. But before we end everything, please plug all of your socials and where people can find you if they're looking for coaching.
Yes. So you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Arielle D'Angelo. It's ArielleDangelo.
Hey.
On Instagram and TikTok. I also just launched my brand new We the Rainbow account on Instagram, which is going to be the Instagram for my LGBTQ personal development company and organization. And if you want to be a new follower to that, that's at We the Rainbow with 2 W's at the end.
Okay, I love that. So that's your new company then? I mean, you have yourself, right? Or is this an extension of that?
Yeah, so like technically everything that I'm doing is under the umbrella of We the Rainbow, the LGBTQ plus personal development organization, but I'm like the face behind it, the name behind it.
Yes.
So I'm going to be advertising my programs and events on both platforms. So either way, you can find me there.
Nice.
Amazing.
And check out her website, arielledangelo.com.
Yeah, it's beautiful, by the way.
It is so cute.
We love your little rainbow logo.
And just your pictures, you can just instantly tell that like you're the type of person I would like be comfortable with, and want to talk to. And you're just such a warm energy.
Yes. I always feel very just everything is put into perspective after I speak to Arielle. So any of you listeners, I highly, highly recommend tapping into her resources. You will not regret it. Even just having literally a Zoom call, it's insane the difference that it will make in your life. So
Aww.
Thank you so much, seriously, for doing this with us.
It's so good to meet you
fantastic.
and see you. And I know that you were a big part of her Cape Town experience.
Yes.
So.
Fond memories.
Yes, I'm so grateful. Thank you for having me here. This conversation has elevated my vibe today, and my heart feels so full, and
yes.
I feel so honored to just be able to speak to you both and then also share with your audience. So thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you so much. Love and light. Arielle used to say it, love and light all the
love
time.
And light.
every time I left in an Uber or after wherever, she's like, love and light, love and light. I'm like, oh my God. I know. I almost got it tattooed on me. I'm not even kidding.
You're the only person I know who says that, but that's beautiful.
Really?
Love and light. It just makes sense.
I love it.
Love and light. It makes so much sense, right?
It does. It's
Need more of it.
Exactly. Okay, should we do our little tagline?
Yes.
Okay.
Alrighty, y'all.
You start.
So you may not have your shit figured out,
But that's okay.
This is your 20s.
Yes.
That's like us when we try to clap at the beginning.
Yeah, it's like,
no, that was great. Thank you so much.
yes.
Thank you guys so much. That was such a wonderful, wonderful conversation. Like, I'm so excited for this episode.
I am too. I'm literally like, my heart.
All right,
Yay!
really fast for the listeners, be sure to give us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. It means a lot to us. Go follow our Instagram at This Is Your 20s, or This Is Your .20s. Twitter, This Is Your _20s. Go check out our YouTube, all of that.
Website, thisisyour20s.com has everything that you need, blog posts, all the links to our socials.
Yes.
If you're forgetful like me and can't keep track of all of that, it's all in one place. So check us out.
All love. All right. See you next week.
Bye.